in the world of sales, what is the bounce and why does it matter and how does it affect you? I'm Sylvan Bell. I'm coming to you live from Denver, Colorado on a perfect day to talk about sales and a perfect day to talk about you. I'm sitting here waiting for a flight. So what do? I shoot you some videos and I figure we talk about the bounce today. And so like I'm a highly visual person. So anytime that I could draw a picture for you, I think that it really helps. So I'm going to draw a picture with my finger of a bell curve. It's going to go like this and then a dip. And I see this a lot with sales training. I see this a lot with brand new salespeople where let's say a new trainer comes in. Let's say a new idea or a new concept comes in for a product or service. Like this happens in either way. And so a salesperson's right here and all of a sudden they rise to the top. And then like for whatever reason, the bottom falls out and they hit the dip. They bottom out. Well, this is a delicate place for a salesperson because there's two things that are going to happen. Either it's prolonged stagnation or it's another climb upwards and, consistent selling behavior and consistent actions and consistent work. And the reason why it's a dip like right here and you need to know about it is because if you do the wrong things, it's an elongated dip. It's a longer dip than what needs to be done. So like real deal as a salesperson, the moment that you feel like you're in the middle of a sales struggle, the moment that you feel like you're not doing well is the time to reach out and say, hey, I need some help. And it doesn't make you a weak salesperson. And like if you're the macho type and you're like, oh, people are going to judge me, like your paycheck doesn't judge you, right? The numbers at the end of the year might judge you and create some problems. But man, like I think of all the people who've reached out to me and said, Scott, I need help. I've turned down one guy. I'm just going to pause. Welcome back. So the overhead announcement's gone. But what will happen is if you get into that dip and you start changing things up and trying to make massive changes without some sort of coaching or some sort of notation, it's a problem. This is why I'm a huge fan of shooting video when you're on top. I'm a huge fan of getting your sales presentation down when you're on top for this reason. So that when you fall, because eventually there's going to be a dip, you can shut down the amount of time that you're in that dip if you make sure to have some sort of content where you're like, oh, I forgot to do this, and you create a checklist, right? You could go to rev.com or a rev website like that where they do transcriptions and they can transcribe your entire presentation and you can have it down word for word. And then here's the thing, in contrast, when you're struggling, you should shoot a video too, and you should look for all of your common mistakes. And you should go through and go, here's where I'm saying here's my body language mistake. And I promise you there's something that you're doing that just does not make sense. And you're saying things and in your mind because you're around the product or the service or the widget or the gizmo, you're like, this all makes sense to me and everything sounds normal and everything's fine and everything's fantastic except for there's a problem. There's not. It's not fine. It's not normal. It's not fantastic and it's really struggling, okay? So the dip happens and you got to be aware of it. Now, sometimes it comes from the trainer. Sometimes the trainer has content and you're excited about it and it's all brand new. And then like for whatever reason you get to the top, it's not sustainable. That's an issue with the training. Sometimes that does happen. I've seen a couple of instances where trainers will go into a company and they get the training going and like it's all mental rah, but like no show, no go for what the content is to actually do the work. And it happens occasionally. It's not something that happens a lot. It's not something that happens all the time, but sometimes that dip is coming for you. Sometimes the dip comes from you because of you. And then sometimes the dip comes because of training and because of issues with the trainer. And a good trainer is going to have a track record. They're going to be able to say, here's sustained, not just like growth over a month, growth over 2 months, but they should be able to say, here's some sustained growth. And I'm a huge believer that, if you are going to get training and you are going to get coaching, you need accountability because training without coaching or accountability is worthless. What happens is you're just like, man, I'm going to live my life. I only need $150,000, $200,000 a year to live. I'm good with $150,000. What's wrong with only making $150,000 a year, right? I can live on that. Whatever the number is, I'm just giving you a filler, okay? So the dip happens, the dip is real. Salespeople really do struggle. If you are struggling, like get some help. Find a coach, find a mentor. There's plenty of great sales coaches, plenty of great mentors out there in your industry, right? Find somebody you trust and say, hey, here's what's going on. And anytime that you're having a personal struggle, it affects your business life. Anytime you're having a business struggle, it affects your personal life. It's a yin yang. It's just like there's no way to stop it. There are people who can go to work and block out all the noise of going on at home with a significant other, with the money, with the kids. Very few people can do that. There are some who can, very few can, okay? So, for you to avoid the dip, 1, make sure you have good sales training. 2, record your sales process when you're on top and when you're on the bottom. And 3, pay attention to who you're listening to. Pay attention to who's teaching you, because like there's times where I see salespeople, they're chugging along, they're doing fantastic, and a sales trainer comes and works with them and changes their process, and they bomb, and it creates a ton of problems. So if this has ever happened to you, leave a comment in the description in the box down below. Hey, this has happened to me. I've had some issues. I've had some problems. You know, it does happen. So if you've never been to my channel, here's what you do. Find the subscribe button and then click on it. And every time that I send out a video, you'll get an update that says Scott Bell Consultant sent out a video. You should check it out, which you should. We'll see you soon. Aloha.